and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the Kayfabe Kommandos. I am Bern. That is Lloyd.
I'm Lloyd, that's me. How are you people?
How you doing, Lloyd?
I'm good, man. How you doing tonight?
We skipped last week.
We did. I was a bit kind of busy this past week and a half, so I apologize to any of you who are listening now and who listened before. Thank you for that, and sorry for taking a week off, but we are back, and we will be back every week, and we're here for you. Anyway, I guess we're going to start the show off this week. As anyone who would be listening to this, I'm sure you know, there's been a lot of talk lately about the WWE wellness policy and what it really means and what you can get away with, and what just basically what it really all entails. Recently the Randy Orton suspension was his second violation of his wellness policy, which basically, for a second offense, you get a 60-day.
60 days.
And, he's a major player for the company, and him being out of action, I think, took them, they had to scramble for storyline. I think they had a lot of stuff set up, and, they had to switch it around to bring everything to where it is right now, which is just like really, really sloppy. But anyway, that's not the point. What we actually want to talk about was the wellness policy itself.
At least for a little bit. And we're going to wrap up, just SmackDown's been kind of shitty, so, I mean, as much as I love SmackDown, it really hasn't been that good the last couple of weeks, so at the very least, we'll touch on some high points, but then it's pretty much all Raw, and
there's no chance in hell.
We might have to talk about Impact, too, because both of us have watched some Impact lately.
I have been watching Impact.
And it's funny, because, I know the last podcast we said we were going to watch at least an episode, and I've watched 2, and you said you watched Slammiversary.
Okay.
I have Slammiversary. I haven't watched it yet, but as far as what I've read from Slammiversary, it didn't play out any better than any fucking typical episode of Impact.
True.
So, moving right along, the wellness policy issues. So, right now we've got 3 big superstars, 2 big superstars and 1 mid-card superstar who are currently out on wellness policy issues. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, and Evan Bourne.
Yes, and Evan Bourne, also much like Randy Orton, this was his second violation of the wellness policy, which I think we actually mentioned on one of the first episodes. We talked a little about this.
Bourne's a little different because he got busted for smoking spice.
Right, the synthetic marijuana thing, which is listed on the wellness policy, which you can check out at WWE.com. Yep. It's really easy to find. Which had been amended. It's weird because I particularly noted this, and if you know what's going on in the news lately, you'll also understand why I'm dragging this out. I guess they amended this year, back in January or February, that the synthetic marijuana, the spice, K2, whatever you want to call it, was now outlawed, and you would be fined. And it's not even a violation. You're violated. There's nothing like for just a straight marijuana violation. It's only a $2,500 fine.
Right.
So basically, if you want to smoke pot, and you've got a big enough contract. Just go, hey, here's my $100,000 for the year. Take it off the top, and I'll see you when I see it.
I'll smoke as much weed as I want. Here's $5,000 and
What was even more interesting though to me was underneath that and amended at the same time was the use of bath salts as a drug.
Apparently nobody's eating faces in WWE.
Not yet. The Boogeyman. He did eat that thing off of Jillian Hall's face. Like maybe he was under the influence of the bath salts.
But it is a big issue because we've got 2 huge superstars right now.
Right, and actually, saying again, now that I'm thinking about it, it's Rey Mysterio's second violation of the wellness policy.
So, Mysterio and Orton are out. Mysterio's 60 days is almost up. Combine that with his injury status, he probably won't come back within... I think last thing I was reading was his suspension is up in 3 weeks, but his knee injury isn't going to allow him to perform at least until September. Orton's out until after SummerSlam. Evan Bourne, who knows?
Right, like you said, there's actually talk. I would speculate that they're not even going to take Evan Bourne back. It's not worth the trouble for them. I mean, they can do without him. And right now, even as lacking is their roster is they do have enough people that they could build that they don't need in Evan Bourne. As far as I'm concerned, rebuild Zack Ryder instead of bringing back Evan Bourne.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
You know it.
You know it.
Take care. Spike your hair.
So, Orton's been out. The other day I was reading some shit. I think it was on either Bleacher Report or Wrestling like Inc. or whatever the fuck that website is. That the major changes to SmackDown are they're going to have CM Punk on SmackDown a lot more, with or without the belt. They didn't specify like what he was going to be doing. But they're going to be using CM Punk a lot on SmackDown instead of Orton as a mainstay. How do you feel about that, Lloyd?
Well, I think that's good. I mean, obviously you want people to watch the product, and you need to have some major stars there. Right now, SmackDown's got Sheamus,
right,
and
Alberto Del Rio.
Yes,
Daniel Bryan.
Christian technically is a SmackDown wrestler.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, having CM Punk over there definitely adds to something that is going to be missing because of Randy Orton not being there. But even still, I think it would be best for them to, elevate, again, which they are doing, elevate Ziggler. Start bringing him up.
And we'll talk about that a little more once we get into the Raw stuff a little bit later, but they really have been pushing Ziggler
yes,
lot
absolutely.
lately.
And it finally paid off, or we'll see how it's going to pay off. But again, we're
number one contender.
Like I said, I'm looking over the wellness policy as we're trying to do this.
So, while you're doing that, this is the most recent article from WrestlingInc.com that I picked up on Bleacher Report the other day. F4W Online reports that Randy Orton tested positive for elevated levels of testosterone, causing him to fail a WWE wellness test and be suspended for 60 days. Orton was telling people that he took a tainted supplement that contained the testosterone, causing him to fail. Orton reportedly said that he did not do it on purpose, but acknowledged that he would have been more careful. Superluchas.net early reported that Orton tested positive for Dianabol, an orally effective anabolic steroid that was commonly used by bodybuilders until Congress banned it under the Controlled Substances Act. These reports were unconfirmed. A lot of these guys, I know for a while there, I was thinking that because Orton got hurt, that he might have been busted for taking some pain medication that was unprescribed. Right now, it sounds like he's taken roids of some...
Yeah, they said they got him for... I think they got him for marijuana also, honestly.
Yeah, but if they got him for marijuana, it's just a fine.
Right. Like I said, it's $2,500 fine, which defined in the clauses here says comes out of their downside guarantee. Yeah. Which basically means, hey, we're just taking $2,500 out of your check.
Well, and the other night, Raw was in St. Louis, which is Orton's hometown. And
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. And the way that this is, at least to my understanding of how this is written out, is that a positive test for marijuana is not a violation strike.
Nope.
You do.
You just pay a fine, and as far as I know, you pay a fine, and then you have to fess up to it in public. That's what they make you do. Be like, I got busted for weed. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I promise not to ever do it again, and here's my $2,500, which is completely backwards as far as what you would expect.
No,
it's like if you and I were to get busted for weed at work, we'd be done.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
yes.
Yes, we would be busted for using controlled substances at our places of business. There's a huge...
Oh, if I was actually doing it at my place of business,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. But, there's a huge list. I'm looking at Article 4 here on the wellness policy, the list of prohibited drugs. There's probably 40 different things on this list that are listed that these guys could be busted for. The biggest things, though, are really diuretics. Non-medical use of diuretics, including but not limited to the list of below, as well as related compounds, is prohibited. There's probably 15 things on this list, and they're just diuretics, for fuck's sake. People that train, bodybuild, Ironman guys, do bike races and shit. These are common things to use. Really, as far as WWE superstars go, you drink water, you eat your chicken dinner with your rice and broccoli, and that's pretty much all you got. If you go out and have fun, you better not test positive for alcohol abuse.
Right, because I mean, I guess even they brought it up during the CM Punk Jericho angle, where you're not supposed to imbibe alcohol within a 12-hour period, or maybe even within 24.
Showing up for a show, absolutely.
And that's actually right. It's right in there, written in the policy. And the same thing, it's a $2,500 fine.
Yeah.
So even if you show up wasted as shit, you're still only getting.
Another article, sleep aids.
I was just actually I was just about to bring it up myself.
Anti-estrogens, prescription meds can only be legitimately used if they are prescribed by a legitimate provider and re-verified by the WWE physicians.
Right. Like I said, I think it's interesting that Ambien is a violation. You were suspended for 30 days if you test positive for Ambien, which is a non-prescribed. Is it non-prescription?
It's a prescription drug.
It is prescription. Okay, I'm sorry.
So you have to have a doctor's prescription to get that shit. And at the very least, you think that these guys that are on tour, 300 days out of the year, are gonna need a sleep aid or two, but they can get away with Tylenol PMs, but not something prescribed by a doctor. That's kind of bullshit. The wellness policy is really harsh, and it's harsh for a reason. We're in the PG era of the WWE, and we have been for about 10 years. Well, I can understand why they're so strict, but at the same time, if you're going to be this strict about the prescription meds and non-prescription meds and diuretics and dietary supplements and all the bullshit, you might as well make everything like, whether you're smoking weed or drinking or whatever. It's got to be a level playing field, because right now it's not.
Very true, but realistically, this whole wellness policy thing still stems from the McMahon steroid scandal back in the 90s, and this is just it's a face, it's a good guy badge that they put up to be to say, all right, we are testing for this, we're testing for this, but still, they're also smart enough to know that. Okay, I'm just going to throw this as an example. He's obviously not wrestling for them anymore at this point, but Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
This wellness policy was way in place when Rob Van Dam was champion. There's no way that Rob Van Dam was not smoking marijuana.
Absolutely.
Publicly outspoken.
Smoking marijuana, fucking juicing. That guy was way bigger than he should have been. Even back in the late 90s when Edge and Christian broke off from the Brood, I was watching some videos the other day of Christian. He looked like Triple H. He was that big. And, nowadays, he's a normal-looking dude.
Right.
12 years ago, Christian was as ripped as fuck. And you know why? Because he was doing HGH and some roids of some kind, and they just didn't catch him.
Well, yeah, also, there's the stipulation or clause that, any former superstar who has a problem with any sort of drugs, the WWE sets them up with a rehabilitation program, pays for the whole thing, which commendable. Well, and again, I think it's another one of those things that you look at how many wrestling deaths have happened, pretty much due to either directly or indirectly because of the years of abuse of prescription drugs. And I think they're just trying to, again, distance themselves from it. Be like, okay, it's not our fault, but we'll do whatever we can to help and make us look like the good guys in this situation.
And the biggest candidate for that shit lately has been Matt Hardy, and it's his long road of recovery. I don't know where he's at now, but he's been in WWE sponsored rehab for at least 4 years at this point.
No. Matt Hardy was. He was wrestling for TNA not that long ago.
Yeah, but he was still in recovery.
Last I knew of, this is just about maybe 3-4 months ago. Matt Hardy was actually kicked out of rehab because he just wasn't. Yeah. I guess not taking the treatment seriously.
But it's because of dudes like that and their behavior why this policy is so strict. And real quick, number 15 here, Article 15 on the corporate substance abuse and drug testing policies. For positive drug tests other than marijuana and alcohol, first violation in the event of an initial positive test for substances prohibited by this policy other than marijuana and alcohol, the WWE talent should be suspended for 30 days, fined an amount equal to 30 days' pay, deducted from the WWE talent's downside guarantee on a weekly basis, and WWE will publicly disclose the WWE's talent's name. Second violation is basically the exact same thing, but for 60 days. Third, in the event of a third positive test for substances prohibited by this policy other than marijuana and alcohol, the WWE's talent contract with WWE will be terminated, and the WWE will publicly disclose the talent's name and that the talent's contract has been terminated. That's pretty harsh. Do you see guys like Mysterio and Orton, getting to that point? Because we've been dealing with this shit for almost 2 years. They're both on their second violation.
Honestly, I'd like to think that it's not going to happen, but I think that even if Randy Orton comes back, I don't think he's going to make it very long. I think that he's going to, he's going to get a violation, and they're going to have to let him go. But even if you look down a little further, in that,
it's just a little bit further. That was number 15 out of 17.
Right. Well, no, it actually says, in addition, a WWE talent who is terminated by the WWE for a third violation of the policy would be prohibited from returning to the WWE for at least 1 year.
At least 1 year.
So basically. Yep. You can, let's say, sometimes you don't.
Orton could go to TNA for a little while and then come back.
Well, still, it would be a 90-day no-compete clause on that. I would think, no matter how that works.
So we'd be looking at least 2 years of no Orton in WWE or no Mysterio.
But the other thing about that is when I was reading over that the other night, some of these people just get fed up and get miserable. Well, why don't you just fail your violation 3 times and you're out of your contract?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
I'm starting to think that maybe that might be something that maybe Rey Mysterio is kind of doing, because it seems like every time he needs some time off, he just fucks up a wellness policy.
Mysterio, though, he's got so much money coming in from merchandising and other things.
I would think, and in my opinion, I could be wrong, that as far as a money maker from the children, from the 5 to 12-year-old, Rey Mysterio probably sells more merch than anybody other than John Cena.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a superhero.
Yep.
That's what he is.
Booyaka, booyaka.
619.
All right, I think we've done enough on the wellness policy. It sucks that we have to deal with it, with huge superstars like Mysterio and Orton, and even really decent up and comers like Evan Bourne, who just kind of fuck themselves for being stupid. I'm a big fan of Evan Bourne. I love his fucking high impact, high flying shtick. It was great with Kofi Kingston. He's a substantial wrestler on his own. It's just this wellness policy. It's there for a reason. I understand why they're that strict, but there's a lot of inconsistencies and.
Pretty much, like I said, I think the idea is good. I just think there's too many loopholes. It's just, and again, for a fact, they've in the past someone has been popped for their violation, and they basically don't suspend them right away. It's like, we've got them booked for the next week.
Truth.
They did that to Truth.
Cody Rhodes just recently squirted one too.
I think I was talking about this the other day. The thing with the Cody Rhodes was apparently there was Cody and somebody else whose name I never saw get released, that got popped for a wellness violation thing, but had prescriptions for what they had and had to just provide them.
Right.
And apparently, I guess since I saw nothing more about this, both of them did. And like I said, it was Cody, and I totally don't know who the other person was. That was never announced.
I want to say it was Cody and Killings again, like R-Truth. But they were able to come up with the paperwork. So, it sucks that we have to deal with the reality of this kind of corporate wellness policy. But at the same time, it's there for a reason. And these guys make so much money that, you know what? If you want to go get fucked up, just go smoke some weed and then pay $2,500 if you get
caught. Exactly. I mean, even if you only get tested once a month, which is all supposed to happen.
Right.
Like I said to them, that's pretty much $20,000 a year to smoke marijuana. And
I like smoking the weed. I think Lloyd likes doing that shit a little bit more. And even my ass, I enjoy drinking alcohol probably more than most people. I imbibe quite a bit, and that's not even there's no punishable offense unless you get like tested the day before you go on stage.
Again, it's a job. It is a job for them, no matter what. I mean, like I said, me or you could not go to our works drunk out of our mind and be like, oh, it's okay. You just pay us $2,500 and take the night off, and life's good. No, you're fired.
Yeah.
And I guess again, that's the difference between living in a celebrity world and living in the real world. But no, I think there definitely should be something implemented and in place for this. But this is just, like I said, it's smoke and mirrors. It's something to.
It's one of those kind of things. Like where do you balance your talent versus how you deal with the talent's issues? You've got a guy like Orton who is the top seed on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
And he's not there anymore. He's just gonna kick his
that's
ass out.
That's the other thing I want to know is, okay, I have a hard time believing that they're doing the 1000th episode of Raw coming up, and it's in St. Louis, I believe.
Right.
How are you not going to have Randy Orton on the 1000th episode of the show
he's
in his hometown?
He's not even going to be able to compete in SummerSlam this year. He's out. And he's not only not getting those 2 paychecks, he's not getting any paychecks until September.
Actually, he's still getting paychecks.
Well,
no matter what, because they're just saying they're taking the money. He's not getting paid whatever his downside here.
Right.
So basically, I'm sure he's still getting his.
He's getting paid,
he's getting his merchandising money.
But he's not getting his per match deals, his per win deals. He's not getting to show up in his hometown for the 1000th fucking episode of Raw, which is the biggest television milestone. Period.
Gonna be epic. It should be a great night for wrestling that night.
All right. So enough with the wellness policy. I think Lloyd and I both agree that it's there for a purpose, but it sucks, and WWE probably would do well to reevaluate it and take a little bit more of a realistic stance against substance abuse and how it works with real life. What do we got? We're going to talk about SmackDown at all for 2 weeks?
You go ahead. You want to touch on anything on SmackDown?
I really don't. Like, the last couple of weeks have been good, but they haven't been awesome. It's basically been a lot of repeat matches from Raw, and then 15, 20-minute episodes of Raw recaps right smack dab in the middle of it. Last week was, like, the highlight for me last week was seeing Teddy Long, like, making up a match because Johnny Ace couldn't figure out like what to do.
That was on Raw, actually. That was on Raw, not SmackDown. You know what, Lacey? Let's just go ahead. SmackDown was SmackDown. Next episode will be a more in depth on the new SmackDown. But
because and it's this weekend's a pay-per-view too, so
true. Actually, hey, you know what? I'll be watching SmackDown in about an hour from now. So.
Yeah, so SmackDown was good, but not anything really worthy of note.
Right. Actually, to say, I think we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to bring you something. The way we've been doing this lately is, like I said, I'm picking the intro music. Burns picking something good coming up here for you, so I'm going to turn it over to you and tell them what it is.
Some fucking peeps, man. Christian, I think Lloyd and I both need to smoke a cigarette and have a couple of drinks of water, and we will be back in about 3.5 minutes.
Opinions not mine, the you to the other side. Find me waiting there, you'll see if you just close your eyes. Hearts uninspired, trapped inside somebody's dream. Too close to the fire, yet cold and so numb with the pain. But the fever has broken and the river has run to the sea. Washed to the ocean and saved by a voice inside me. Inside of me a light was turned on. Then I was alive. If you close your eyes, your life naked truth revealed. Dreams you never lived and scars never healed. In the darkness, light will take you to the other side. Find me waiting there, you'll see if you just close your eyes. Never thought it would be here, so high in the air. This was my unanswered prayer. To find one another, so much wasted time. Out of the darkness, each breath that I take will be mine. If you close your eyes, your life naked truth revealed. Dreams you never lived and scars never healed. In the darkness, light will take you to the other side. Find me waiting there, you'll see if you just close your eyes. If you just close your eyes. If you just close your eyes.
All right, welcome back from break. That was Captain Charisma, the Peep Show Master, Christian's music. I'm so glad that he's back and like actually performing, and you know,
No, it's great to see him, and actually, to kind of bring it back to the TNA thing, they've been showing old footage of Christian on TNA back in the day when he was there, when he was Christian Cage. He was TNA World Champion for quite a while. Him and Tomko was there with him too.
yep.
That was good stuff, man. Actually, Jim Cornette was still working with TNA at that point before him and the whole Vince Russo fiasco.
So should we talk about TNA a little bit before we get into the E stuff, or
I guess since it did just kind of start up like that, yeah, might as well get a little TNA out of the way, and then we'll cover Raw.
I watched 2 weeks ago the full episode of Impact, and then last week's I watched about half of it because I just didn't want to hack it anymore. Highlights for me that I like the gut check and watching Devon defend that title every week.
Devon looks good, man.
He really does look good.
I actually read an article the other day where he was talking about how in shape he is. The separation now with him and Bubba Ray. How now they're just doing the singles thing as opposed to for so many years being Team 3D or the Dudley Boys or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And he basically, I guess said he wanted to get down, and he's been doing all this because he wants to wrestle Kurt Angle. He wants to have a program with Kurt Angle, and he wants to know that, I can beat him. I know, and that's probably a little kayfabe, a little shoot.
Yeah, but what? I think at this point, Devon could beat Angle legitimately and be over.
Oh, absolutely. I think that could definitely happen. But I think it's just, it was like more of the nod to Kurt Angle's the greatest, one of the greatest in the world. It's like, if that's the caliber I want to get into, I need to be that caliber myself.
Well, speaking of caliber, how did you feel about that opening match 2 weeks ago where they literally opened with Bobby Roode versus Sting?
Well,
at the beginning of the show. Like, isn't that a main event, like end of show shit?
Well, that was their first episode, I believe, of the going live for the summer to see how that works out.
Yeah.
And you got to start off big. And what better way to start off a show than with your world champion, who obviously, if that's the guy that's the face of your company, you need to put that guy over. And you got to give him a legitimate opponent. And who more legitimate in that company than the icon Sting, who Again, I don't think he should be wrestling at this point. I think that he should have a commissioner role for that company, which he has in the past.
To be fair, he did look real good in the ring.
Absolutely.
he needs to just not keep using his fucking, the Just for Men, and just let his hair be natural,
Right.
and just undo those plugs, because it doesn't look good. And I don't think Sting's got anybody telling him, your hair looks terrible. And that shit translates to TV. It's on Spike in high def. It looks awful. And which is one of the good. Like, I hate to be so superficial, but I was really happy when a couple of months ago they made Bobby Roode cut his hair, because he literally looks legitimate now with the little short fucking crop shit, his little beard, like his fucking wannabe Triple H ponytail. Just was driving me crazy for like a year and a half.
Never bothered me. I guess I don't pay too much attention
I don't know.
to the hair.
I'm that asshole, and I'm okay with being that.
Well,
asshole.
again, I love Beer Money. I thought they were the best tag team going for a while. They, like I said, them and the Machine Guns. That Best of 7 series they did was some of the best wrestling in the past
Motor City
10 years.
Machine Guns, absolutely. Other highlights that night. I think I pretty much checked out after. Besides Gut Check, I checked out 2 weeks ago after Austin Aries and Chris Sabin. Kind of a sloppy match. I like watching Chris Sabin wrestle. I like watching Austin Aries wrestle, but fucking take that X Division belt off of Austin Aries. Let somebody else do some work.
Who would you put it on?
Fucking Crimson. He's not an X Division, but he might as well go for it.
Well, see, they did that.
What is he doing right now? He's not going for the heavyweight title.
Well, it's because they've got too much. TNA has too much money invested in other people like Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's getting paid more than a lot of the people. That's something we can talk about another time.
Right.
Like the pay scale for TNA is absolutely ridiculous.
So Crimson is billed as being undefeated. He's wrestled for almost 2 years for TNA. Never lost a match. Why the fuck doesn't he have a belt yet?
Good point. Why?
Right?
Why?
Let him fucking compete for the heavyweight. Oh, why? Because we've got Mr. Kennedy, we've got Kurt Angle, and we've got fucking Jeff Hardy. Constantly, week after week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view. Those are the dudes that are getting that belt action. And the X Division, they're lighter, faster guys. Fuck it. Who cares? Let fucking Crimson go in there and wreck house and prove it. That's...
No, I understand. I like your logic. And that's the same thing, they had a program probably about a year and a half ago now where Abyss was the X Division champion. The same thing. He just came in and destroyed people. But I very much so. Crimson, you're undefeated guy in 2 years. Why has he never got obviously he should be the number one contender if he's gone through everybody and is undefeated, but he's never gotten that opportunity at the belt.
Speaking of Abyss, I haven't watched Slammiversary yet. I'm probably going to watch it tonight after we record this. I've been really enjoying this whole angle that he's been...
Joseph Park is where Abyss is his
fucking
brother.
Brilliant. I love it.
Then we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about that. That way you all have seen it.
It's awesome. And fucking Bubba Ray or Bully Ray or whatever the fuck they're calling him now, calling him out that night.
He's good, man. He's probably the best heel TNA has right now. And another guy, he's come a long way. When they first did the split, I didn't think that he was going to amount to anything, and
I didn't either. And it's been nice seeing him really square up against Cowboy James Storm, go face to face with Bobby Roode and Hardy.
He hasn't fought Storm.
No, but
quite a while.
They've been out. It's over the last couple of years. I mean, like seeing him evolve as a wrestler on TNA,
absolutely
has been really cool. The only other thing I could think of is the whole Dixie Carter, what's his nuts?
AJ Styles
angle
where they tried to cut her off at the end of the show. Shut it off. I was like, fuck, and actually let that swear get out over the air.
I kind of have to admit that I was in. I was all in.
But honestly, like I said, taking the break that I did from TNA for months, I hadn't watched it, and I think it's good. I think they're at least on the right track, but it's
hard.
Still the same, just like you said. Yeah. Bobby Roode versus either Kurt Angle or Jeff Hardy or Mr. Anderson or RVD. It's the same people have been in the title hunt for forever now.
And it doesn't help that it's still as low rent as WCW was in 1995. The production values are good. I like the angle that they're going, where they're trying to do a little bit more behind the scenes, breaking kayfabe kind of stuff, especially with that gut check segment. where they're bringing in the random amateur wrestler,
Right,
and making them compete for a few weeks, and then having Al Snow, Taz, and
Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, Bruce Pritchard.
Brother Love.
Right? Fucking vote whether or not that they get a contract or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, but see, my other problem with that is I really do want to know the legitimacy of that. What, like, it's
legitimate or not, it was fun to watch.
I agree, but again, their whole thing is that it's supposed to be 100% legit. There's no, because I guess like I said, the first guy that got the contract. Yeah. Who's, I can't think of his name. I'm sorry.
He hasn't wrestled since.
And then they have the other guy who didn't get the contract, the porn star Hollywood guy.
Yeah, the guy who looked like fucking Anchorman.
Yes. And again, I think it's a great idea. I think with Bruce Pritchard coming in and taking over creative for TNA from Vince Russo, who again just rode that company storyline wise into the ground. It's it
seems to be his MO.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Pritchard is going to turn around. Obviously Al Snow's is in charge. He's the executive in charge of talent relations for TNA now. I know that if I'm not mistaken, I think D'Lo Brown is still working backstage for TNA as one of the trainers also.
And what is your opinion about Brooke Hogan coming over and being in charge of
it's a work. It's a total work. I mean,
do you think it's legit or do you think it's just for TV?
I think it's just for TV. I think it's just all right. There's she will not be around in that company in another 3-4 months. It's an angle. And I totally believe that.
All right. But so will you continue to watch TNA? I'm going to at least going to go for another week or two and see what progresses. And because I'm going to watch Slammiversary, I'm probably going to watch tonight's episode of Impact. Again, we're recording this on Thursday instead of Tuesday like we normally do. I'll watch tonight's Impact. I'll probably try next week's, but like you said,
right. Before I leave tonight, remind me. I have a copy of Slammiversary here for you.
Oh no, I've got it.
Okay.
I've already got it. I downloaded it yesterday. I acquired it legally via the internet.
Yes.
I rented it from this Pirate's Cove. What are you doing, knocking my shit over?
I'm sorry, it happens.
That's right. It's just my Shield box set. So enough with Impact. I'm probably still going to watch it, just like I have been, just maybe once or twice every couple of weeks here. Raw was something. The return of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Holy shit! Which is why we played No Chance.
Absolutely. Did we just receive
we did receive a message from the Raw general manager. No, that was my iPad. I need to turn that shit off. So
Raw started out the same way it has been for a while now. Johnny Ace came out and pretty much got one sentence out of his mouth, and then you heard the
crowd was just over. Just awesome.
All of a sudden, no chance in hell. The music kicks on, and Vince McMahon comes walking down that ramp doing the Vince McMahon strut that only he can do.
The Mr. McMahon walk down the aisle.
And, just basically gets on the mic, just says, hey, y'all know who I am.
Yep.
I'm here, Johnny. I'm here to give you your evaluation for your job.
Dude, and he tore Laurinaitis an asshole that first segment. It was literally 17 minutes of, oh, you think you're this, her, I'm McMahon.
Well, that was the thing. Johnny starts talking about people power and, everything he's doing and how him and Vince are both astute businessmen and visionaries. And McMahon
Mr. McMahon wasn't having it.
No, he's like, really? You're the astute businessman who hired the wrong one-legged man,
right.
Which obviously referring to Zach Allen, which, if you don't know, was a one-legged wrestler who they had program with, and there was another one-legged wrestler was the guy who Johnny was supposed to hire. I mean, that was an actual legitimate.
I'm surprised that they even brought that shit up. Like them, between Punk and McMahon, over the last 3 or 4 months, breaking kayfabe during their promos. Holy shit! I love it when they get real.
Right, and then Johnny, honestly said something that was in all truth, like, these people right now that are booing me are the same people who booed you.
Right.
Just last time you were here.
Right.
And it was great. And then they're doing their little back and forth.
And then of course Johnny fucking flubs his lines.
Oh, Johnny!
My 100th episode, 1000th episode of Raw. Are you serious?
Yeah. And
Jesus
Vince,
God,
Vince McMahon even was like,
just
it's like
fired him
no
on the
one
spot.
understands what you're talking about. And well, Sheamus comes out and kind of goes,
Yeah.
no, Johnny's a good friend. He's a good friend if he's the kind of person who you want to fine you $500,000. And basically just does that. And Vince McMahon basically says, well, all right, by the end of the night, I'll let you know. You might be hearing the two words, "You're fired."
Fired.
And then gets out of the ring and gets on Johnny's scooter.
Yep.
Rides it up.
Rides it off the stage.
Just
Awesome.
rides it up and then throws it off the stage.
So good.
Absolutely, it was great. And
Classic McMahon shit.
what we didn't cover on there is that Johnny said, "I'm going to make a match for Sheamus."
Right.
And Vince was like, well, it better be good. You better show me what you got.
Right.
And what does he do?
It's Sheamus and Tensai, wasn't it?
Sheamus and Tensai. Again, what's the point, man? I just, Tensai is a waste to me.
At this
Sorry.
point, I'm tired of it. And it was not just Tensai, and I know we'll probably talk about it a little later, but it's another 5 minutes after that of Tensai fucking beating down his
manager, yeah. Which we knew was coming anyway, because I think they're trying to really get him
rid
out
of
of the
him, yeah.
Japanese angle of whatnot.
All right, so
And,
next up.
well, actually from there they go backstage where you see Sheamus wins that match with Bro Quick, by the way.
Yeah.
Johnny Ace, Teddy Long, Vince McMahon are backstage.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon's like, well, Johnny, that wasn't very good. That's strike one. He's
right.
like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for the contenders match for who's gonna face Sheamus at the pay-per-view? Enter Vicky Guerrero, who comes in and basically makes a statement that
two ex-champions.
Two ex-champions and Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger, and they're like, okay. And Vince is like, all right, I'll take that under consideration. He asks Johnny, he's like, all right, Johnny, what
do you think?
What do you match? And he's like, well, I have a great idea, but let me ask Teddy first.
Teddy Long what he thinks. And then Teddy steals the goddamn show.
Absolutely. Teddy says, you know what, player? There's actually 4 ex-world champions there, which there's actually more, but we're not even going to worry about that right now.
4 that are ready to wrestle.
Right, which were Swagger, Ziggler, Great Khali, which, why not? Again, you couldn't have, it was SmackDown, you couldn't have put Kane in there because he's got his own program, but Khali and Christian.
Yep.
So basically, Teddy makes a 4-way match. Then Johnny said, that's a great idea. Vince is all up on it, so that match is made for later on in the night. Cut to commercial, they actually come back to R-Truth backstage, getting interviewed by Matt Stryker, where he's basically like, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm okay. Now, little Jimmy, however, was very traumatized by everything. And then another WMD out of nowhere from the Big Show just lays out R-Truth.
Out of nowhere, like literally killing R-Truth, Wrong Killings, is cutting an excellent promo. Just totally just batshit out of nowhere. I'm this, little Jimmy this, I'm this. And then all of a sudden, the camera just swipes just maybe 8 inches the other direction and BAM! Out of nowhere, knocked the fuck out.
That was, next up was Layla. It was a mixed tag match between Layla and Santino versus Ricardo Rodriguez and Beth Phoenix.
Man, god damn it. These matches have been shitty. And this is probably why they haven't had them on. Because, the last 2 weeks on SmackDown and the last 2 weeks on Raw before this episode, no Divas matches. All of the Divas matches that I've watched have been on Superstars and NXT. And this just did not look good. Not look good.
No, the match was awful.
It was terrible, and Layla looked like crap still.
Yeah, but you also got to figure, again, I don't know, Rodriguez was still playing the cowardly, I don't know if he can wrestle or not. So, it's also hard when you put somebody who's not a wrestler into that situation.
I'd like to think he can wrestle.
I would like to think
he's just
so.
playing a character. But Beth Phoenix looked sloppy. Layla looked awful and stiff, and she should not be wrestling.
No, not at all. But anyway, that match is horrible as it was. Rodriguez and Beth Phoenix. Phoenix with the
glam slam.
Glam slam into the wind. And, then they showed Ricardo in his Justin Bieber shirt.
Yeah.
Stripped him down to that.
Why?
Just to add...
Because he's a Bieber believer?
He's got Bieber fever. Next up was a backstage vignette between David Otunga and Vincent Kennedy McMahon, where he's like, I think, Otunga's basically singing the praises of Mr. Laurinaitis, but sticking in the, if he does go, who better to replace him than a Harvard graduate?
Right.
To which Vince McMahon replies, I hate lawyers.
Yep.
They're the worst type of people. Then,
it was a good little promo section.
Absolutely, it was actually
the
had
back and
another one
forth
later.
between them. You really got to see Otunga, like, his mic skills were awesome, and McMahon hasn't lost a step in 30 years.
Not
like,
at all. There's a reason he is the king of this business. You know, Kofi busts in looking for Johnny Ace.
Dude.
He's like, I want Big Show. He took
Yeah.
out my partner again. I want him tonight. Well,
What do? Schedule him for a cage match against Big Show?
I say, they do. They give him the matches. Did they announce at that point that it was going to be a steel cage?
Yep.
Okay, I
They
thought
certainly
that
did.
might have actually
No,
happened a couple minutes later.
They did, but then they cut to commercial, and then the graphic that came back after commercial was
Right.
cage!
Okay. Next up was Daniel Bryan promo.
Yeah, it was kind of a useless promo.
Pretty much. I mean, everything he had to say. I mean, the whole thing. You know, he's doing his spiel. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no.
That one was a time filler.
Yeah,
That was all it was.
Punk comes out. Well, basically, it was a time filler, and it was also to set up the match
Yeah.
for later on in the night.
Yeah.
Punk comes out, just, you know, hey, you're not going to get my belt. He's like, you know what I did? He's like, you know what I did? It's like, I did Crazy Chicks. You know what else I did? My WWE Championship,
Yep.
which you're never going to get. You know, as he's going, fire and brimstone, here comes Kane.
Yeah.
And he, you know, basically comes out and, how did he put it? It's like something to the effect of, he's like, my pipe bombs are pipe bombs.
Right.
He's like, basically say, no, I'm really hurt, people. You know, my pipe bombs are real.
God, I love Kane.
And then
I'm never going to say
And then
that.
out of nowhere, AJ.
Why the fuck not, right?
I mean, just interrupting Kane, like in the middle of his shit, and it's like,
And of course, she's got Kane right now wrapped around her little finger.
we like to think that, but you know, she said what she said is like, oh, Kane, when I looked into
Yeah.
your eyes, I saw that you deep down inside you have a heart.
Dude, okay, are we getting into that match? What match is next? Is it that match?
No, but regardless, AJ does her thing. Johnny Ace makes a match via the big screen that is going to be I guess a mixed gender match.
Mixed gender match.
CM Punk
with AJ and
versus Daniel Bryan and Kane. That's going to be the headline of the show.
Right.
Next up was the that's why I'm sorry, I wrote it down wrong. It's it was a 4-way.
Oh, that's right.
Great
Yeah,
Khali,
yeah.
Jack Swagger, Christian, and Dolph Ziggler match.
You know what? Christian looked awesome with this match. He's probably looked the best he's looked in the last 3 weeks in this match.
Really good, but you know, Dolph Ziggler,
Dude.
looked fantastic. I mean, really, Khali and Swagger really didn't do much in this
Nope.
match. They were pretty much on the outside of the ring
Yeah,
most
it
of the
was
time.
all Christian and Ziggler, and Ziggler comes away with the win.
Yep, Dolph Ziggler comes away with the win. What was I believe Christian missed something, and Dolph got him with the zigzag.
He hit him with the zigzag. They were going back and forth trying to pull off finishing moves, and fucking Ziggler finally hit him with the zigzag, and it looked good. It went over well, and I think your prediction's probably going to be coming true. They're going to put a belt on Ziggler by the end of summer.
I'm telling you, man. Next up it's actually a backstage promo between. I guess it started off with Natalya and Vince McMahon,
Right.
where she just wanted to talk. Like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh, I'll get back to you and whatnot. Where then he's interrupted by Naomi and
Cameron and Naomi.
Thank you. Basically going, you should lift Johnny Ace's ban on Brodus Clay
Right,
for
being on Raw.
And he didn't do it.
No.
I guess.
But you know what he did do? He got funky with the Funkadactyls.
They did say, it's like, we heard you like to get funky. And which he did.
He
Somebody
did
better
indeed.
call my mama.
He had the worst stiff, funky moves, but it was awesome. The lights went down, and, Cameron and Naomi were doing their shit, rubbing their asses on each other, and, Vince McMahon was getting down.
And it was real good because, too, and then, lights come back on, he's standing there, they walk away, and they just pan over to Zack Ryder, who's just standing there,
mouth
jaw
agape.
dropped, staring at Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon
There
just
goes
goes the woo, 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 you know it.
It was awesome.
Yeah, very, very good, man. And then, Vince walks off, and there's Zack still just jaw dropped. Let's see, actually, from there, what did we do? Oh, here we go. It was Jobbers versus Ryberg
I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm so fucking tired of this
Ryberg
shit.
wins, blah blah blah. They talked a bunch of shit before the match started.
They had like a synchronized promo thing going on. Like it was awful. And Ryberg did the double fucking body slam, like the suplex thing that he does, and that was it.
Yeah. Next up, backstage, Hornswoggle, Vince doing JR imitation.
Right.
Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Now, I gotta be honest and tell you that, I mean, I guess if you're gonna do a JR impersonation, there's no way you can't make the Bell's palsy face.
Yeah.
Okay? I also was kind of like, well, that's a little not cool, for,
But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Hornswoggle.
Well, no, I meant Vince putting on the hat and doing it. He like lowered his bottom lip. I was just like, wow, man, that's a little disrespectful. But
you know what?
I'm sure that if JR didn't want it to,
it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, JR's getting paid the big money, and him and Vince have been fucking almost best friends and business partners for...
And worse friends and business partners.
But for, like, the better part of 40 years.
Absolutely. John Cena comes in, talks to Vince, saying, hey, why don't you fire Johnny Ace?
Right.
Otunga comes back.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this Raw. There wasn't a whole lot of Cena.
No, not really. How did this come back? I'm trying to think. Sometimes I forget how I write my notes. Otunga comes back in and he's talking to Vince McMahon. He's like, even I understand where you come up from the lawyers or something, blah, blah, blah. And Vince is like, I don't like people that'll just pucker up and kiss someone's ass. To which they slowly pan over where you see William Regal sitting on the couch, basically having a sour look, throwing back to the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club, which anybody who, again, I would think that if you're listening to a wrestling podcast, I don't need to explain to you what that is.
Come on, guys.
Next up was the Kofi Kingston Big Show Steel Cage match.
Holy shit. That was almost hard to watch, man.
It was just,
Kingston got his ass kicked for 15 minutes.
But that's what you have to do when he's the Big Show. Like, if you want him to be the monster heel, he's got to be the monster heel.
And he absolutely delivered. Like, Kingston had no chance. There was no momentum, any direction at all on Kingston's side. It was all Big Show all night long, just tossing him around, fucking chest slapping, choke slamming, fucking whatever. Anytime that Kofi would get any momentum whatsoever, it was just done.
Yep.
Big Show had an answer for everything, and it was ugly and awesome. I love the cage.
It was, like I said, the match was just brutal to watch. And again, I keep saying it, I just said it before.
Right.
You want to make him the monster heel of the company, the guy that, you want to make him the giant, that's what you have to do. You can't let anybody get over on him.
Nope.
Not, as like you said.
Especially Kofi Kingston. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, when you're setting up to have a steel cage match with John Cena at the pay-per-view...
You've got to kick somebody's ass and kick it hard. And they must have paid Kofi Kingston a lot of money to get his ass beat like that. Who was doing the opening thing this weekend? It's David Otunga and the YouTube Facebook video that they're going to do pre-pay-per-view. It's Otunga and...
I'm not sure.
Is it Kingston?
I don't know.
Because I don't think Kofi Kingston's performing in the pay-per-view.
I gotta be honest, have they announced a match for the YouTube yet?
Yeah, they did it on Raw.
I must have missed that.
I don't remember what it was, but I know it's Otunga and somebody.
Okay. Next up was the Sin Cara Kurt Hawkins match.
Sin Cara, I mean, it was a typical lights out Sin Cara match. I mean, it didn't look any better than it did last week.
No, and once again, how is Kurt Hawkins getting a push? Kurt Hawkins is getting a push because they need... I think...
Okay, you know why?
I think, did I say it? No, I did say it on the air. It's because they have no talent.
You know why?
There's nobody ready to step up. And
it was a 3-hour show, and they needed to fill 10 minutes.
We did, you are correct. It was a 3-hour Raw, which was something that's the first time we had mentioned. Which actually, it was only a 2-hour and 13-minute Raw.
It wasn't very long.
Yeah, Sin Cara wins. No big surprise there.
So, is this the actual Sin Cara, or is this somebody else wrestling as Sin Cara? Because it almost doesn't seem like it's the same dude. His air moves aren't as slick. He's not doing a whole lot of acrobatics. Like,
well, I think either, he just got off of a serious knee injury.
Well,
I'm sure
right.
that,
But
he probably shouldn't have come back as quickly as he did. And to the best of my knowledge, yes, that is the original Sin Cara.
I won't doubt it, but it's just like they pulled the wool over our eyes when it was when Hunico was being Sin Cara and Sin Cara was being Sin Cara.
Maybe I always knew that Hunico when he was not Sin Cara.
It's like the little blonde dye job underneath the mask. You could tell, little things, but it's been so long. It could be a totally different dude. No, you just would never know.
Up after that was they cut to Daniel. I always want to use his
Bryan
name.
Danielson.
They cut to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan Danielson. That's my nod to Dave Hero. Yeah. He's backstage, doing a little stretching when Vince McMahon comes up. He's like, just want to wish you luck, and Daniel Bryan turns around and says something to the effect is like, I bet you never thought you would see someone like me as your champion, and they kind of have a couple words back and forth, and that's about it. Nothing much really came of it. Just after that was the big surprise of the night. Earlier in the show, I guess Johnny announced that he would be bringing back a former WWE superstar, a legend, if you will. And
a legend in every sense of the word.
I got to be honest and say I didn't expect.
I didn't either.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed in 20 guesses that that's what it was going to be. But
apparently,
it was a match between Heath Slater, the one-man rock band, the one-man Southern rock band,
and
Big Daddy V.
It's time! It's Vader time!
That is right.
It was good to see him. Dude's old.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got old man belly on top of Vader belly. He looked really good in the ring. He can still perform.
Yes, he actually did look very good.
It was awesome to see, but dude's old.
Yeah, it was total squash. But what do you expect?
It was fucking awesome.
When's the last time Heath Slater's won a match to begin with?
When was the last time that you marked out to Vader? It was probably a decade ago.
True. I couldn't even tell you the last time
I fucking blew my mind. I was like, what? Yeah! Just freaking out for the whole, 8-minute match that they had. It was fucking great. So yeah.
Vader wins.
Absolutely. Just Vader bombed fucking Heath Slater. Just classic Vader bomb. So good.
Next up was the main event for the night. AJ and CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan and Kane.
And what a weird match.
Yes, very much so. I guess, not much to talk about other than let's just go ahead and get right to it. AJ's in the ring with Kane. Punk is on the outside.
He got knocked out.
Yes. Basically, she kind of
she just jumped on Kane and just wrapped herself around him and then planted a big long fucking, I think it was a 45-second.
Yep, just started kissing Kane and he just kind of stood there.
He was like,
oh woman.
So
fire bad, right? Good.
And then I don't even they lost.
They did lose. What happened was basically when AJ finally broke the kiss lock hold stranglehold, which she can put me in anytime. I like crazy chicks.
Who doesn't?
Kane immediately, or within 10 seconds of kind of just standing there, goes over and tags Daniel Bryan in. Yeah. At which point, Punk is able to get back into the ring and get the pin on Daniel Bryan.
That was a weird ass match, and it went on for almost 20 minutes.
Yeah,
too.
It was like I said, there was a lot of long matches.
But it was 10 minutes of wrestling, a good 3 minutes of AJ and Kane, and then another 5 minutes afterwards of just them standing there looking at each other.
Right, where AJ just sits down
in the middle of the ring,
cross-legged
CM Punk's looking at her, and she's all being weird looking, and Daniel Bryan's outside the ring just looking around, and Kane's walking up the ramp.
Yeah,
it was a weird ass way to end the show.
He felt weird, like when you climb the rope in gym class.
Right.
Makes you feel all funny.
So overall, Raw was pretty much a win, even though there were some down
We're still
points.
not done talking about Raw.
Oh, that's right.
See, Yeah, there's a reason I take these notes, sir.
God damn it. Well, and I have.
Well, it's also because I smoke a lot of marijuana and get forgetful.
Well, I jumped the gun though a little because I've been drinking since I got off work at 4. So
yes. The show closes out with the evaluation or the supposed evaluation, which winds up not happening because they come out. Vince comes out with security, basically. I'm sure to
escort
Johnny Ace, and once he gets his future endeavored, but they kind of don't get to it. Big Show comes out in the middle of all this and basically talks about how you shouldn't fire John Laurinaitis. He, hired me, and that's hired me back. The smartest thing he ever did was give me this contract.
Yep.
Whereas, at the beginning of the show, which we talked about, we didn't actually talk about, Vince saying, another thing Vince brought up was, you signed the Giant to this contract where he hasn't been relevant since 1999, which that
was a kick of the nuts.
Yeah, not true. I mean, hey, if that's the case, you've put him in plenty of hot. By that logic, WrestleMania 24 against Floyd Mayweather. He
Mayweather.
That was Mayweather. That was WrestleMania I went to on my T-shirt. You know who's on that shirt? Those two. That's the big people that you put up on the pedestal for that year.
I've seen you wear that shirt.
Definitely relevant enough to be your WrestleMania promo. Cena comes out though.
Yep.
And they pretty much him and Show get into it. He has words for Show, and they start to physically get into it. Well, security kind of gets taken out, and then Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon kind of get into the mix, and next thing you know, inadvertently, weapon of mass destruction to Vince McMahon, which actually, if you look at that, it was very weak. It was done, and I'm sure you got to take your Vince McMahon is almost a 70-year-old man, and he can't take the bumps like he used to. I'm sure, and again, Big Show hitting you, his fist must be the size of
basketball
of 4 of ours, if not more.
It's like hit in the face by a basketball that weighs 70 pounds.
Which basically, Vince McMahon said that he would be at the pay-per-view, sitting ringside during the Cena Big Show match, and that if Big Show didn't win,
Laurinaitis is done.
Laurinaitis would be fired.
This is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I probably won't watch it until Monday. We're going to do our quick predictions. I think we've got about 5-10 minutes left before we're really pushing it.
Sure, we can do those real quick. Do you actually... I guess we can run through them. Regardless, what was I going to say? I guess we can talk about... Yeah, it'll come up in predictions anyway. Let's see. For this coming up, we have...
Did we just look at it the other night? It was...
Well, yeah, I had it up because I was looking at my other stuff. Well, we know there's the Big Show Cena match.
Right.
There's Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Punk.
And there's Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus.
There
we go. All right. So we went over this on, what was it, Monday night? Lloyd and I were drinking at the Water Trough, the local watering hole in town that we love so much. We might have been 3 or 4 pitchers deep by the time we got around to looking at these. And you voted on every single one of these except for...
I did say I would make a prediction on that tonight.
Right.
I guess let's start. If we're going to do this, we'll start this way.
Real quick.
Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler?
I'm picking Sheamus.
As you see, I picked Sheamus. Sheamus, again, makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
At this pay-per-view anyway, it doesn't make any sense for him to lose.
I personally, I think I would love to see Dolph Ziggler get the belt.
I would too.
It wouldn't surprise me if it does happen. Honestly, some sort of outside interference.
I think
maybe ADR getting involved.
I think, if anything, Sheamus is going to take it, but it's going to set up a new arc, whatever the fuck happens, for SummerSlam. And at SummerSlam, I'd be willing to put money on it. If Ziggler has a title match, he's going to get it.
Next, Christian versus Cody Rhodes.
What's your prediction?
I'm going with Christian. Again, I think he's over right now, and putting the belt back on Cody doesn't really do much. I think this is a better feud where it's better to have Cody chasing Christian than Christian chasing Cody. I think that makes for a better dynamic.
Here's where you and I have to disagree. I think that the Intercontinental Belt has the ability to be interchangeable like that, to where the two of them can go back and forth for a few months. I'm going to give it to Cody. I think he might actually pull it off, get it back, there's going to be this feud that's going to last for a few months, and maybe Christian will get it during an episode of SmackDown or some shit like that. I think this might be the pay-per-view that we'll see Cody get back over, because if anybody can put Cody over even more than he already is, it's a feud with Christian.
Alright, let's see. Next up, we're going to guess would be the match for the WWE Heavyweight Championship between Kane, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan. Again, this was the one, you know, as what we talked about is what we looked at the other night is one of the sites I get my wrestling stuff from has like a betting pool where you can bet upload credit and things of that nature, which I always do most of the time. And this was the match that I wanted to wait until after I had seen Raw to make a decision on what I thought was going to happen. And I'm glad I did, but it also really didn't help because I think
it didn't help. And like I told you that night, I'm like, it's not going to help.
The wild card in this factor is AJ. It's that simple because if she's playing the angle where she's coming out in CM Punk t-shirt, she's obviously showing some sort of support for Punk. Yet then again, you never get over your first. Maybe she's trying to really work the angle to get Daniel Bryan back in her favor. And then now
she's playing Kane now.
And now is it like, or is she like that crazy cuckoo bananas that she really is into Kane?
Right.
Or is this just again another tactic to help out whichever one of the other two that she's doing?
All right. So what's your prediction?
CM Punk.
All right.
It's Punk because it makes no reason to put the belt on Kane. Daniel Bryan, it's possible, I think at this point, keeping the belt on Punk, you want to keep the belt on Punk going into SummerSlam.
So I think it's going to be Kane, and then they're going to keep the belt on Kane, and Daniel Bryan will get it at SummerSlam. Just simple. It's an easy way for them to let go. I mean, there's going to be some weird angle with AJ and CM Punk. I'd be willing to bet that it's the smart way for them to let CM Punk go of that belt and then give it to Bryan, next month at SummerSlam, just because of the way that Raw has been performing, and they've been pushing fucking CM Punk's matches into like semi-main events and not main fucking headlining events for house shows, for SmackDown, for Raw every week, because just the ratings don't perform. So I'm going against what I normally go against and like not going with my gut. I'm going with business. Give it to Kane. Develop this story for another month or two, and let Daniel Bryan have it at SummerSlam.
Like I said, I'm going with Punk. Real quick, since I actually didn't bring him up, the other match is it's going to be Brodus Clay versus David Otunga. So let's just both go ahead and say Funk is on a roll. There's
absolutely Funkasaurus.
Yeah,
100%.
Also, Layla versus Beth Phoenix. I think the way that Layla's been performing lately, they need to put that belt back on Beth. So I'm going to go with Beth on this one.
I think we might be surprised by a sudden showing of Karma. I really hope so. If not, they just renewed Kelly Kelly's contract, so maybe she'll get into that mix just to fuck things up and make the stories a little bit better until Karma comes back. But I agree. I think Beth Phoenix, absolutely.
And the only other match announced so far is Santino Marella versus Ricardo Rodriguez in a tuxedo match.
Santino Marella.
Santino. Couldn't agree more on that.
Oh, bruh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is this week's current episode of the Kayfabe Kommandos. I am Bern. That is Lloyd.
That's me. Thanks a lot for listening.
We'll be back next week with post-game analysis from the pay-per-view and Monday Night Raw and a little bit of SmackDown. I don't imagine SmackDown is going to be very awesome this week, but we're going to watch it anyway.
And we did say the pay-per-view, right?
Yeah. We will watch the pay-per-view and probably have maybe 5-10 minutes on Impact as well. So thanks again for listening, and we will see you next week.
You can tell me what to do. You know who you're talking to. Well, you better get used to the way the war bounces. I see what you got. Adventures in big man. Treat you like you're a little man. Yo, tell me what it's like to be half a man. It must break your heart to see what I am, but that's a breaks, boy. Yeah, that's a breaks, little man. Break it down. Think you can tell me what to do? You know who you're talking to?